Hey y'all, Travis here, the Wildlife YouTube channel. Today, I'm gonna show you all the essential gear that you need to go kayak fishing for the day. Okay, so my mentality towards going outdoors and doing anything, whether it's hiking, hunting, fishing, kayaking, is my first big rule is the K.I.S.S rule, the old K.I.S.S rule, and that is keep it super simple. And everything I do revolves around that. So here we go. Let's take a look at the gear. All right. So I've got all the gear kind of laid out here, and we're just going to sort of go over everything. I think first and foremost, we're going to start with the kayak. This is a Jackson Mayfly. These kayaks are specifically designed for fly fishing. So something to consider with a kayak, I think the two most essential components are stability and comfort. When you're going down the river for a day or an overnight trip, comfort in a kayak is huge, and a seat has a lot to do with that comfort. Check out the seat on this Jackson Mayfly. It's got some really cool features. First and foremost, the padding is just super comfy. What's really cool is it's got two positions. So you can put your kayak up high like this, or if you're going downstream a long ways, you can put it in that low position. Next great thing about this kayak is it has lots of storage space. Storage space is really important. Day trip or overnight trip, storage is huge on a kayak. Typically your bigger kayaks, your 10 plus, are gonna have more storage capacity to them. Let me show you what kind of storage we got on this Jackson Mayfly. All right, here's the front compartment. I've got my anchor up here and an extra rope in case I need to put a rope on the rear to portage through like some rapids. And it's got this compartment here, okay? All right, going to the back. Here's the rear compartment. Love how these Jackson Mayflies, these Jackson kayaks, I mean, they've got this dialed in on securing your hatches. So that's the rear compartment. You've also got this back here. That's where you're gonna put your cooler, dry bags, stuff like that. It also has this cool little tray underneath. I actually find that I don't use that tray very often. Very comfortable feeding position. All right. Typically, I'll put this rope right here, and that's because when I'm sitting here, I can grab that rope and help pull myself up into a standing position. The really cool thing about this kayak, remember I mentioned stability. It is really easy to stand up on this kayak and cast a fly rod or conventional rod. So that's really nice. I highly recommend a paddle leash. There are a lot of people who are just against paddle leashes, but man, the worst thing that could happen to you is you lose your paddle. That's why I take two paddles. You should always take two paddles. I'm going to show you the two paddles I have here. Ideally, one paddle is a two-piece, snaps together in the middle. The other one's maybe a four-piece so that you can store it under the hull of your boat. I find that two pieces don't slide into the hole very easily on my boat. So what's cool about it, this is just a Carlisle aluminum handle paddle. That's my backup there. I usually use this Bending Branches Classic Angler. You see this little notch right here? That is used to retrieve your lure in case you get it stuck on something under the water. Another handy feature is you have your measuring tape right here. So for the fishermen out there, you're not gonna have to worry about putting some other kind of measurement device on your boat. And then they just simply snap together right here in the middle. So pretty easy. I'm not particular on any type of kayak. Go find one that works for you. It's comfortable, it's stable. This kayak works great for me, and taking my small kids on there with me, I don't really like two-seaters. They're way too long, way too big for our Texas rivers. Our rivers usually flow low and slow. It's very rare that we get into like big water or anything like that. This also works really well, this kayak, for like lake edges and stuff like that, bays. I can throw one of my kids on there. I weigh about 200 pounds. My kids don't weigh more than like, my oldest one weighs 60 pounds right now. So we can both sit on here really comfortably and it's not a problem. All right, moving on to everything else. So the next thing is PFDs, personal flotation device is what that stands for. This is just a real basic kids one. Make sure you keep it on them all the time. Okay, this is a NRS Chinook. All right, something to be aware of is you can't just use any type of PFD. Notice how the float on the back is up high. That's because when you sit with your PFD, check it out. That way you're not like in a weird awkward position with your back against your seat. Okay. Then we've got a soft-sided cooler. You can tell this one's well used. I use ice packs just like that. This is a cheap Coleman. It's like 20 bucks at Walmart. I don't go with the fancy stuff. I try to keep it really easy. Water bottle. This one's 2 liters. And I always take some kind of electrolyte with me. I'm a Prime fan. All right. Next, we got just a basic first aid kit. I had a bunch of stuff in here like bandages, a few other things, some zip ties in case you need them, some lighters. One thing that I really like to have with me are these Zeiss lens wipes. I had a friend, we were on a Devil's River trip several years ago, kayak fishing, doing some fly fishing, and he pulls out these lens wipes and he's like, hey, here, clean your glasses with these. And I'm like, what? This is way overkill. I mean, like, guys, for, you know, we all fish with polarized glasses. These are my Costas. It was like day and night difference. So I'm now a huge fan of Zeiss lens wipes. I keep them in my truck. I keep them on my kayak. I keep them in my packs and stuff. I just can't live without them almost. So, all right, moving on. Okay, next, I carry 1 or 2 of these Sea to Summit dry bags with me. This is a 20 liter. This one's made of like a really durable material, great for kayaking. Always take a Leatherman with me. Headlamp seems ridiculous, but if you ever get caught out at night, the last thing you want is nothing to see with, right? So you never know what's gonna happen. And if you get caught late on the river, you need something to use for a light. So I take a headlamp with me. You could also use your phone light, I suppose, but your battery may be dead by the end of the day. All right. I wear contacts, so I take a contact case with me and an extra set of contacts. Lip balm, sunscreen. All right, moving on to the essentials. You never know when you need to go number 2. And a really important thing that we need to be doing on our Texas rivers is keeping them clean, right? And the last thing you want to leave behind is your human waste and your toilet paper or cleaning goods, right? So here's what I take with me for the occasion that you need to go number 2. This is a tube. The tube is to put your wag bags in. If you don't know what a wag bag is, look them up. They sell them at REI and other outdoor stores. Here's a little TP. Always put it in a Ziploc bag, and dude wipes. Absolute essential. So that's just a real basic setup. You put this tube in the hole of your kayak, keep it there, dump it when you get back. All right, moving on to the next thing. Next thing I take with me is a knife. When you're kayaking, you should always leash your gear, okay? It will fall off into the water. I use this rapid rope. It's a utility rope. It's like super high tensile strength. I usually keep this thing in my truck, but it's super handy to have a little bit of this on the boat with you in case you need it for anything. A couple of extra bungee straps to tie things down on the back end here. I know there's bungees right here, but it's super handy to have a few of these as well. Okay, moving on to the fishing gear. This is sort of the last component of what I bring with me. Starting here, I keep this on my neck. It's got pliers, a whistle, and nippers. Here's my basic tackle bag. Some of my conventional tackle that I take with me on these Texas rivers. We're mostly bass fishing, maybe like perch as well. So maybe catfish if you get into them, but I'm not really. I'd rather go to a lake and catch catfish. I'm more into catching bass and stuff on the rivers. So here we go. I like to take quite a few spinner baits with me. These are topwaters. A few of these little spinners, jigs with me here, and worms, right? So real simple. Okay, always take a little extra line with you. My go-to line is this Power Pro. No matter what you're fishing with, this seems to be a really great braid. I know 20 pound is probably way overkill, but we get tangled a lot. When you're fishing in lakes in Texas or on the rivers, there's often a lot of submerged vegetation, submerged logs. A little bit stronger braid just helps you have a better chance of retrieving your gear if it gets tangled. All right. I also take a net with me. Kids just love netting things when you're on the river. All right. I just have a regular old Zebco reel here for the kids, rod and reel. Here's my rig here. This is my conventional rig. It's a Penn Fierce 2. All right, what's cool about this Jackson Mayfly is check this out. That's my fly rod, okay? It has this little compartment in it for setting your fly rod into and securing it right here, okay? So you can secure your rod like that. And then when you're fishing right here, just pull it right out. It's also got a tip protector up here. There's one on each side, okay? Comes the fly fishing gear, which we'll move on to next. I am a huge TFO fan. TFO makes by far the best rods in the market, in my opinion. Their customer service is excellent. You can reorder parts for it very easily and they get them to you fast. Here in Texas rivers, I usually fish with somewhere around a 7 weight, 7 to 8 weight. You can catch anything from your panfish all the way up to like a large bass with that. And then as far as the reel, I'm an Orvis Hydros fan. I have several of these, okay? The other big thing I do is I always take 2 rod and reels with me, rigged up, ready to go. One thing about fishing on Texas rivers is you are going to probably break your rod at some point. I'll give you a great example. I was on the Devil's River a few years ago, and I was not a mile into the trip. It was a 2-night trip. Broke my fly rod, not a mile into the trip, okay? And I had a backup, thank goodness. So always take backup rod with you, backup reel. This is my fly box. It's just a White River, nice size box. I think it's like a 6x8 box. I can keep everything I need for that trip in there. And then I also take this with me. This is my fish pond, other fly fishing gear that I take with me. This is a little magnetic fly holder here. Okay, a little lure holder. I take extra leaders, extra tippet with me, always very important. Dressing, this is a desiccant to put your lures in to dry them out. And so that's about it. Okay, the last thing that we're gonna look at is my spearfishing gear. I love taking spearfishing gear with me on Texas rivers. Just remember there's a few things to consider. Number one, you cannot spear game species. So catfish, bass, those are out of question, right? The things that you can spear, and there's a ton of in Texas rivers, are the invasives like carp and tilapia. So here's my spearfishing gear. Really simple, easy to throw in the kayak for the day. All right, I got fins, a mask, snorkel, weight belt. This is a JBL 3-piece hand spear. I'm gonna take it out and show you guys. Okay, so the JBL, this is a pole spear. For Texas rivers, it's kind of like really all you need. So what's cool is you just slap this together. This screws together like that. Next piece. And then this is a tip. And it screws on just like that. I just put that together in like literally a couple seconds. Super, super easy to do. Very easy to use on Texas rivers. It up. The only other thing you need to go kayaking and fishing on Texas rivers is a fishing license. What's really cool is TPWD just started this year a digital license. You just put the app on your phone and it's all right there with everything else that you have. I would call myself an intermediate as far as my knowledge on this goes. I'm definitely not a beginner, but I'm definitely not an expert either. But I think I've got it pretty dialed in on what gear you absolutely need to take a day trip on a kayak. All right, y'all, wrapping up the gear review today. If you have comments or questions, drop them in the line below. I'll do my best to answer them for you. If you find value in the knowledge that I've shared today, please do us a huge favor and hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps our channel grow. We hope to see you next time. See ya.